What is up, you guys? It is your boy, Phoenix Breton here. In today's video, we have the Week 1 NFL predictions video. So before we get in today's video, like and subscribe. We are on the road to getting to 700 subscribers. But anyways, enough said. Let's get into the video. And starting off, we got the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Philadelphia Eagles, which takes place tomorrow, guys. Can't believe it. We're already here. Football season is back. And obviously, I got the Philadelphia Eagles here. Like, come on. They're the Super Bowl reigning champions. They're one of the best teams in the league right now. They're arguably probably one of the best teams. Just, I don't know what to say. And then you got Dallas. Going all in? More like you lost Michael Parsons for a bag of peanuts and a bag of money. That's 10 grand. So I'm sorry. I got to go with the Philadelphia Eagles here. I'm just sorry. Then we got the Brazil game, which is the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the LA Chargers. I remember looking at this. Well, I don't remember, but I remember now looking at the schedule and realizing that there was a lot of good Week 1 games, but there's just a lot of terrible ones. This is not one of them. This is a really, really good game. And I do think I got to go with the Chiefs on this one. So this, again, will be taken in Brazil. So there's no home field advantage for this game, which I feel like is a shame, too, because I feel like, in my opinion, this should probably be more like a Packers-Eagles game, for example, where it's like, it's not a team that are in the same division. Or you could have like an Eagles-Chiefs game where it's like they're on different conferences. So give me the Chiefs on this one. I think should be a very winnable game for the Chiefs, in my personal opinion. That's starting off with the 12 o'clock games. We have the Miami Dolphins taking on the Indianapolis Colts. This game is going to be very, and let me say this again, very interesting. Because on the one hand, it's going to go really well, or it's just going to be a blowout, and I have to pick the Dolphins here. I mean, come on. Although there is a slight chance, I believe, that Daniel Jones could be like, I don't know, the next coming of Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield, but it's also hard to believe that because this is the Colts we're talking about. We're not talking about a team that's had, big Super Bowl aspirations, unlike the Bucks, who've, just recently won the Super Bowl, funny enough, and then the Vikings, who've at least made it to a few Super Bowls. This team, I don't even think the Colts have ever made it to a Super Bowl. Well, actually, never mind. That's a lie. I think they have made it to a Super Bowl. I don't think they won it, though. I think it was against the Jets, which is when they were back in Baltimore. So it's going to be the Dolphins. Then we have the Aaron Rodgers / Justin Fields revenge game. We got the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the New York Jets. This is going to be really another fun game that I really am excited to. I want to really watch this game. Because on the one hand, you have Pittsburgh, which is a very solid offense, but with a great defense. But on the other hand, you have the Jets, which was the same thing, basically, a solid offense with a great defense. If I had to imagine, this is going to be a very low-scoring game, but I'm going to pick the Steelers to win this game. The reason why I have the Steelers to win this game is because I think their offense, although are at the same kind of levels as the Jets, they just have more experience, unlike the Jets, in my humble opinion. Then we have another game, which I think this is going to be also another game that's going to be curious to watch. We have the Carolina Panthers taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Both of these teams hosted one of the worst defenses of last season. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this game's going to work. If I'm a fan here, and I'm going to be honest when I say this is going to be a high-scoring game. I don't really trust that both defenses are going to drastically improve against in Week 1. Just my personal opinion. But what defense do I think is better? That's kind of, I think, might be the deciding factor of who wins this game. Because I feel like both offenses are relatively solid. Not great, but not terrible. But then they got their defense, and I think I got to go with Jacksonville here to win. You got Josh Allen, you got Trayvon Walker. Like, you got some pieces that are actually genuinely good. You just kind of have to figure out what you have to do with the rest of your team. Next one on my list, I got the Arizona Cardinals taking on the New Orleans Saints. Honestly, I would say I picked the Cardinals here easily if it weren't for the fact that the Saints have home field advantage. And also, because of the Saints and their just known history of doing really well in the early part of the season, I gotta pick the Saints here. I mean, people might completely disagree with me with this pick, but that's the point, because everybody has opinions and predictions of what we're gonna have. Give me the Saints here. I think they could win this game just because, again, they're so known for doing a really good at the start. But same thing as the Cardinals, so this is going to be interesting. Then as well, we have the New York Giants taking on the Washington Commanders, and this is an obvious one for me. I'm taking the Commanders. The Giants, although I do think are a good team when they're going against the Commanders, I normally think that they do win against them when they're at home and not on the road, which in this scenario, they are on the road. Then we have another division rival game where we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Atlanta Falcons. And in my personal opinion, I'm going to be going with the Atlanta Falcons to win this game. The Falcons are really good against the Buccaneers, as even though sometimes they aren't that great. They also have home field advantage, and the Bucs have a lot of injuries. I just think it adds too much to say that the Falcons do not win this game. Then another 12 o'clock game, we have the Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Cleveland Browns, and this is going to be a game where I'm going to have the Browns to pick here. The Bengals, I just don't fully trust with week one. They are just not a great team in terms of week one. And with all the Tremar Stewart and Trey Hendrickson talks during the offseason, and them finally getting resolved basically the week before the season started, it's kind of saying something that I just don't trust this team that much to do well this game. Then we got the last 12 o'clock game, which I think could be one of the more interesting ones as well, which are two teams that just got new coaches, by the way. We have the Las Vegas Raiders taking on the New England Patriots. In terms of a coaching standpoint, this is going to be a really good game because you've got Pete Carroll and Mike Vrabel. Two, in my opinion, are some of the best coaches right now in the league, without a doubt. Now it just kind of is, who has the better roster? And personally, if I did have to pick here, I'm going to pick the New England Patriots. Yes, their offense, I wouldn't say is better than the Raiders, but the Raiders don't really have a good defense anywhere, really, besides Max Crosby. While the Patriots, on the other hand, do at least have a defense without, like, Christian Gonzalez, for an example. Now we have the 305 games where we have the San Francisco 49ers taking on the Seattle Seahawks. This is going to be another very interesting game if I had to imagine. You have Seattle, who is kind of a question mark this year. Because in my opinion, it could do really bad, but they also could do really good. But that's all depending on how good Sam Darnold does. And then you have the Niners, which are just also such an unknown team right now with their current roster situations. But I think in my personal opinion, I'm going to go pick the Seattle Seahawks to win this game. I think Seattle are just a bit too good, in my opinion, to lose in week one against a kind of a banged up Niners team that also are readjusting to their roster after all their departures in week one. Then we have the Tennessee Titans taking on the Denver Broncos, where I do have easily the Denver Broncos winning this game. I mean, come on, guys. Like, Cam Ward, it's his first game. I don't really trust Brian Callahan as a head coach. Your defense isn't that great in the secondary, kind of. I mean, there's too much that I can't say that this team is not good compared to the Broncos. Then we got 325 games, and this is, in my opinion, the game of the week. Without a doubt, we got the Detroit Lions taking on the Green Bay Packers. Although the Packers have, I think, had some rumors that Micah Parsons aren't going to play so many snaps because of his injury of last season, I do think that the Packers do have a huge advantage of having Micah Parsons. Although he might not play all the snaps, especially when he just got traded this last week, I do think the Packers do have a huge upper hand against the Detroit Lions through this game, through and through. And I just got the Packers to win. They have home field advantage, and I feel like if it weren't for that, I would probably give it to Detroit. But I just think this is going to be a very tight game, and I'm really, really excited to watch this game. I'm really hoping that this game is going to be really fun, as I'm expecting it to be. Then we have another game, which is another really good contender for Game of the Week. We have the Houston Texans taking on the LA Rams. And this is going to be a bit of an interesting one because on the one hand, Houston, in my opinion, are such a not as good as there was last season because of their offensive line and their current issues with that. But then you have the Rams, which have just had recently Matthew Stafford and his back injuries and blah, blah, blah. And also, this team is just not that particularly great, especially during the first, 5 games of the season. Usually, this is a good team more towards the end of the season. Although that is true, I think I am going to go with the Rams to win this game. The Rams, I think, in my opinion, are way too good to lose to a Houston Texans team, and especially with how banged up I feel like their offense truly is. Then we got the Sunday night football game where we have the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Buffalo Bills, and this is going to be another fun game to watch. Rematch of the AC divisional round of last year where it came down to the nitty-gritty and then Mark Andrews dropped that catch. But I do think I still have the Bills to win this game. The Bills didn't really gain or lose anybody, and you could say the exact same thing with the Ravens, which kind of makes it kind of obvious to me that I feel like the Bills should win this game. Then on Monday night, we have the Minnesota Vikings, the purple incarnation of Satan, taking on the Chicago Bears. This is another team, both teams honestly, that are a huge question mark heading into the 2025 season. The Bears are kind of a good team, but you have questions in the offensive line, the defensive line, and your quarterback, and even your head coach, in my opinion. Minnesota, you also kind of have a question for is your offensive line and your quarterback position and your secondary. So there are a lot of question marks, but there's a lot of good things that both of these teams have. But in my personal opinion, I'm just going to go with the team with home field advantage, which is the Chicago Bears. I think the Bears are just a little bit, in my opinion as well, a better team, especially suited for week 1 because of J.J. McCarthy and just his unknownness and his injuries as well. But anyways, guys, I really do hope you guys enjoyed this video. Peace.